Fans of high quality entertainment. I have like 3 or 4 or 5 video ideas, and I thought I would just focus on this one and get it out of the way. It is what what do you consider, if you are a fan of heavy metal, if not, you might not have a response, but what do you consider to be the best heavy metal album of all time? And for me personally, I'm not a big fan of heavy metal, besides maybe Black Sabbath. I don't know if Motorhead's considered heavy metal, but they sound like it to me. And yeah, not too many other bands. But, I just, bands like Iron Maiden, lots of talent, of course. And I did do a recent album reaction on my Patreon for Iron Maiden, and I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't buy the album. And so, as some of you know, to get into how I came across thinking of this idea is, as some of you know, I've been focusing on the Beach Boys a lot in the last few weeks. These are the albums I have. Summer in Paradise. Josh, one of my viewers, just wrote to me and said, "You got a deal for $5 or $5.99." He paid $50 and then I think $20 for shipping and handling, so $70 for his copy. I'll sell this to Glenn Kellaway from the Basement for $80. And then, of course, Friends and 2020. Don't worry, I'm getting back to heavy metal in a second. And then Carl and the Passions in Holland. The Beach Boys' probably final studio album, That's Why God Made the Radio. The Beach Boys Party and Stacko Tracks, another deal I got at a pawn shop for $5. The 50th anniversary of Pet Sounds. Their debut album, Surfin' Safari, in mono and stereo. And Sunflower and Surf's Up, two for another one. And the remixed, same thing, Sunflower and Surf's Up. Feel Flows. And the most recent one I got was the Beach Boys Today and Summer Days and Summer Nights. The only thing I'm disappointed in with this is it's in mono. Most of it's in mono, except for the bonus tracks. I'm just not a fan of mono. I listen to a lot of my music on headphones, so mono, if I was playing a stereo system, it wouldn't matter as much. So I'm going to be looking at some point for hopefully a stereo version of Today and Summer Days and Summer Nights, if there is one. So besides the Beach Boys, I have been playing, other music. I even played the Beatles' Blue album, the remixed album, the other night, and as always, loved it. And I've been playing some Sparks, and of course, Can, as always. And then, speaking of heavy metal, I was looking at something different to play for a change besides the Beach Boys. And I'm looking at my Black Sabbath albums. And I don't think I've played any of my I've got the Black Sabbath Aussie years on CD, all of their studio albums. And I don't think I've played them in a year or close to a year. And I love Black Sabbath. But, there's just been so much other music I've been listening to lately. And so I was listening to, by the way, I was listening to Black Sabbath Paranoid, which I know very well. And when I do play Black Sabbath, it's usually one of their other albums, Sabotage but this one, like I said, I know it really well. So I probably haven't played it on headphones in probably 3 years or so, or 4 years. And, after playing the Beach Boys so much, and it was good to really rock out with this album. And I was starting to think by the end of it that this might, this might be the greatest heavy metal album of them all. And I was looking up a list for greatest heavy metal albums, and I even did a reaction a few months ago on this channel. And number one was Paranoid. And I've seen number one, this be number one on more than one list. But then the other album I feel could be the greatest heavy metal, not taken away from like Sabotage or Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I absolutely love those albums too, and their debut and Volume 4. But Master of Reality, I played that, like I said, after Paranoid. And so I started to wonder, okay, if I had to choose between these two albums, which is the greatest heavy metal album? And it might not even be these two. I know some of you might think a Judas Priest album or Iron Maiden or Metallica. And what really got me thinking about, well, first of all, Master of Reality has what I consider the greatest guitar riff of them all. I think Tony Iommi might be the greatest riff master of them all. There's so many great guitar riffs. But I think my favorite is Into the Void. And I also have, I've always liked, like the quiet song on both of these albums, Solitude on Master of Reality, but I have like a new appreciation for it. And then on Paranoid, there is Planet Caravan, which once again, I think is just perfect, before it goes into more heaviness with Iron Man. I think it's a nice quiet moment on the album. A bit, kind of like Led Zeppelin, Light and Shade, and Black Sabbath wasn't always, 100% heavy. They did some, acoustic stuff and everything, and a bit of variety on their albums. So at the end, like I said, I listened to both of these albums the other night. And as much as I love Master of Reality, I almost picked it as the best heavy metal album. But I just had to go with Paranoid. This was, to begin with, the very first Black Sabbath album I ever heard. And the very first song I heard was Paranoid. I was over at a friend's house, and his brother, I remember, was playing this album, and Paranoid was playing, or maybe even War Pigs, and then Paranoid. That's like, I've never heard that kind of music before, and I like it. And yeah, the album covers kind of doesn't really make sense because it was originally going to be called War Pigs, and even that doesn't really make sense with the silly guy on the cover in those tights. But besides the album cover, I think for me, I mean, there's War Pigs. Paranoid, I know, was kind of overplayed, but I don't listen to the radio. So when I did listen to this, it was with fresh ears, and I'm not tired of the song. Like I said, Planet Caravan is a nice change of pace. Then you get back to the heaviness of Iron Man. Electric Funeral is the one song I thought was always just okay. And even now, I have a new appreciation for that song. I love it. Hand of Doom is one of my favorites on the album. Then Rat Salad has, drum solos aren't the most interesting usually on a studio album. But I think Bill Ward, besides being a very underrated drummer, I feel. He's not talked about as much as, John Bonham or Keith Moon. But his drum solo on Rat Salad is interesting. And, as is the music. And then ending the album, of course, with Fairies Wear Boots, another, not just one killer riff. It's like in some of these Black Sabbath songs, Tony has like multiple different awesome guitar riffs. So for me, and I would love your thoughts if you agree or not, or let me know what album you feel is the best heavy metal album of them all. But for me, it is Black Sabbath's Paranoid. And no, I haven't heard every heavy metal album in the world. I don't want to. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of heavy metal, but this is what got me to appreciate at least some heavy metal music. So, looking forward to your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.